Welcome back, y'all. So today we are doing a review on the highly requested brand Beckett Simonon. Beckett Simonon is not a brand that we get into our shop a lot from customers for repair. So we've been wanting to get our hands on these, and fortunately several weeks ago Beckett Simonon reached out to us and said they would like to send some shoes to us and have us review them, get a Cobblers view on these shoes, and that is what we have here today. So I think we did a video on this last week where we discussed Heath's pair, and he kind of went over how to take care of your shoes when you first receive them. But today we're going to do a little bit more of an in-depth review, tell you more about the company, and I'm going to take my brand new pair of shoes that I've been wearing for a few weeks now, and I'm going to cut them open and show you the insides of a Beckett Simonon and tell you, our review and how we feel about the quality, the repairability, and whatnot. So let's get started.
One of the first things I recognized when I opened up the box was they've got this little label right here on the inside, and it tells you a little bit about the shoe, made in small batch. It tells a little bit about the insole, the build, the upper, the eyelets, channel, lining, heel, shank.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, when you
I've
turn
never
around,
seen a shoe that they've done this on the inside. So
yeah, so it says the insole fully lined vachetta, the uppers calf skin leather, the heel stacked vegged leather. So it's really cool because it actually, the company is telling you, what all the components of the shoe are made of. So I think that's really cool. It's something different that I haven't really seen on most other brands.
for those that aren't familiar with what vachetta leather is, it's an untreated raw leather. It's very soft. It's used in a lot of purses, high-end purses, but it does feel really well just from wearing it. They are both full-grained, and like you said, they says stacked veg leather. We'll see if they're telling the truth when you crack that sucker open.
We'll see.
Steel shank.
Yeah.
That's another thing is people talk about steel shanks and how companies need to be, we're moving away from them for airport reasons, but I mean, I haven't flown where they haven't made me take my shoes off anyways. So I don't know, maybe that's when you're going into some other government building, who knows.
One of the other things that you get in your box is this little 20% off your next order card. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
That's always nice. Then you get this little Beckett Simonon card here, and it tells all about the company. It says thank you for your purchase. It tells how your shoes were crafted.
It's nice to get some literature.
Yeah. Then it talks all about, so like Heath was just saying, it talks all about what full grain vachetta leather lining is. It talks all about what full grain calfskin leather is. It talks about their different lasts, the Blake stitch construction. So it really goes in depth on how their shoes are made. It tells you how to extend the life of your shoes, which if you watch this channel, we are all about. And then it just shows some of the team members that help to make these shoes. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
I like being able to see the people that actually touch the shoes and make the shoes. So
especially when you're dealing in small batches, it's a lot more realistic.
Yeah.
So
the shoes come in these little Beckett Simonon shoe bags or dust bags. Very nice touch. If you're in the $200 and above price range for shoes, it's definitely one of those things you kind of start expecting, but again, very nice touch to have these automatically included. So I got a pair of the black Lancia hole cut shoes. I don't have any other hole cuts at home. So it's a shoe that I requested, and yeah, it's a very nice looking shoe. I'm happy to have that now in my my shoe collection.
And this is the Hoyt Double Monk in tan, and also realized that they give you a pair of insoles for your shoes that are foam, so just to give you a little bit of cushion.
Yeah.
Some people put a lot of pour-on or crepe insole up underneath your sock liner to give you that extra. It's not really a lot of bounce on the way here, so I mean, they give you that option. Do you want to go kind of old school without it, or do you want to put this in there to give you, which I like.
Yeah, I like it, but I will say that I've been wearing these for about 3 weeks now. Even here at work, I mean, well, obviously I work in a shoe shop, so it's not a place where I'm getting to wear nice shoes every day. But I wore these around. I was on my feet a lot throughout the day because I really did want to give a true count of how they feel. And I have not used these extra pads that they put into my shoe, and the shoes have felt great right out of the box.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, my feet did not hurt, wearing these around.
I'm old school, so I just prefer like straight leather up underneath me. But if a lot of people out there have sensitive feet or have orthotic issues, and you need that little extra, they provide that for you, but you don't have to use them, which is really cool.
And then the last thing that I had in there is just another set of shoestrings. They're waxed, which is nice. And just an extra touch to the overall package they send. So anyways, without further ado, like I said, I'm going to take my brand new pair of hole cuts. I'm going to take the sole, the heel, I'm going to take the shoe completely apart, and then we are going to give you our breakdown on the quality of these Beckett Simonons.
I'm glad he volunteered and I didn't have to. So.
All right, so we're back, and I have taken my shoe apart for you guys because, like I said, we want to dig into the nitty-gritty and let you know what these shoes and brands are really made of. Okay, one of the first things that I noticed is the welt. The welt is leather, which I think is definitely a positive. One of the things that I cannot stand is when I get a Blake stitch shoe from a company, I take the sole off, and they're using a rubber welt. Rubber welts are the absolute worst, I think, because they tend to dry rot and they crumble into pieces. And I have customers all day long from certain brands, particularly out in the retail world, that have rubber welts, and a year into that shoe, the welt's already crumbling. So kudos to Beckett Simonon for using a leather welt. That also, another thing to mention is when I took the leather sole off, the leather welt stayed on there. Like, I'm pushing on it now, and it is glued on there very well. When I rip a sole off some other brands and that welt starts pulling with it, again, it's just, that shows me poor quality. This thing is on there, so
which you can see is how the welt is serrated on the edges, and what that does is that allows it to bend when you're going around the heel, and you can really mold it a lot better. But when you get these really wide welts and the real deep serrated edges like that, that really, especially leather, that really gives a lot of gluing surface.
Yeah.
And that's what allows this to stay on a lot better. You get that on a lot of things like Magnani.
Yeah. A lot of higher quality Blake stitch shoes, like he said, some of the Magnanis and some of those brands. When you take the sole off, I can always tell it's a good welt, because just like those higher end brands that you're paying for, the welt is wider and it stays on there really well. So good choice. Heel blocks.
Heel blocks. So when Trent was first prying these things off, this was what the top lift was actually on, and it popped off into split straight down the line, and all this color up here, I started feeling it, and I was like, man, it feels like rubber. And so I thought maybe it was kind of like you see in Allen Edmonds, right underneath the top lift before you get to the actual block, they put a little thin layer of leather, rubber. I thought maybe that's what it is. But then I said, oh wait a second, that's probably just the glue buildup. So I put it underneath the sander, got that glue off, and it is leather. I even took a rougher to just try to get some of those fibers to show themselves, and they did. You can see the grain in it. But one of the things that really kind of shocked me was that it's split down the middle, and then here's the rest of it. You can see it's split down this way, straight lines, and they're not just like fused together. They're actually like beveled.
But you can also see how they're also stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, they're also stacked on top of each other.
So it is stacked, which is nice. But yeah,
look at the bottom. The bottom has actually got 3 pieces.
Yeah.
Like that. I've never come across a heel block that's like this. Yeah. But it is stacked vegetable tan leather, which is what you want. My only guess is that is a cost savings thing. Maybe they, and I'm not saying that this is what they do, but I'm just trying to guess, why would it be this way? Possibly when you got bits of sole leather that's left over, why throw it in the trash? They can get their die cutter, cut out a piece and then cut another piece and, you know, slip it down, and now you can make pieces like that. And it's a cost savings thing, but it is made out of leather. It makes it a little more work for your cobbler when he has to glue these back together.
Yeah,
but
wasn't the easiest hill block I've
Yeah.
ever taken off in my life. It took some getting off, and like I said, it did split in two. But I will give it this: it's not balsa wood or some other type of
Yes.
cheap hill block that we've mentioned on other brands that split into a million pieces.
it's not made out of leather board.
Yeah.
which
So
a lot of
this
brands
is
are.
doable. Again, this is a $200 price point shoe. I can stand this all day long. If this were a shoe coming in for repair, I can put a little more glue on there, sand it, and I can reuse this. So
Yeah.
I won't say too much bad about the hill blocks.
No, more work for me, but
Yeah.
what do you care? You're getting a stacked leather hill.
Yeah.
So
One of the things that I also noticed as well is there is no pour on, there is no crepe being used in this shoe. So this shoe reminds me of something you would get with like maybe an Allen Edmonds or some of the Italian-made Blake Stitch shoes. So before I say anything about Allen Edmonds or you start jumping on me about that, what I mean is a lot of modern shoes nowadays are all about the comfort. And when you go to take off, we go to pull that insole out or the liner to be able to stitch your shoe. There's a lot of brands out there now that I'm just pulling out crepe and all kinds of padding, and it's ripping into a million pieces because it was not originally meant to be pulled out. But we have to do that to put a new sole on your shoe. Allen Edmonds,
unless you want your stitches going right over the top, and at that point you're gonna have holes all in it.
yeah. So a lot of the Italian-made shoes that you have on loafers, Magnanis, a lot of those, they don't have that. So it feels like you were walking directly on the leather insole, and the liner is maybe just a thin piece of leather on those brands, and that's exactly what you're getting on these as well. Again, when you pulled it out, you can see that the liner has just a very, very thin piece of padding, and the rest of it is just leather liner on top of the insole. But going on top of that, what do you think about the footbed there?
This is pretty standard in a lot of mass-produced Blake Stitch shoes. Is Texon, which is used to make a lot of footbeds, and I mean I must see it every single day in a pair of shoes. Texon is basically it reminds me of a leather board, but it's not. It's basically like almost like a cardboard, like a hard cardboard. You can kind of always tell it's got a very pale pink look to it, and you can actually see right here it says Texon, but you can look on the inside where the stitches are, and it's thick enough. It's probably about maybe 1.5–2 millimeters thick, and that's actually where your stitches are. If you look back in there, you can actually see your stitches, and that's actually what's holding on the sole. So that's another little thing, is if you want to know is it Blake stitched, if you can peek up underneath there, or sometimes underneath the liner you can see your stitches up underneath there. That's a telltale sign that it is Blake stitched. But
no, it's not a bad thing.
it's not a bad thing. It's hidden.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key is, you know,
You're not going to see this. It is smashed between the leather liner on the inside and between the sole on the bottom. And again, like Heath said, on really high-end shoes and a price point much higher than these, oftentimes you will get leather, footbed. But on these, this is nothing out of the ordinary. We see the same type of, it's almost like a compressed paper. And you see that all day long on a lot of brands out there with Blake Stitch shoes. It's nothing that I would, sneeze at and think, oh, this is bad.
especially for your price point.
Yeah.
You're getting these for. And also you got to remember this. Every time you put a new sole on here, that needle goes through your sole and it goes through that Texon bed to create those stitches. But you're talking about a Blake Stitch shoe, which you can only have them resoled so many times before you turn that thing into Swiss cheese. That's the key. Is if you want to make those soles last as long as possible, or it's going to last about the life of a standard Blake Stitch shoe anyways, unless it's real leather. If you do have Texon, then you do want to make sure that you take care of your shoes by putting in like shoe trees, because it will soak in moisture, and then the next time you wear it, I have seen shoes where it can crack in half, and that's just because it's gotten wet. and you just keep wearing them, 4 days out of the week, and you don't take care of them. So you do want to keep those dried out if you do have them made out of that.
Other than that, the insides are very soft calf skin. The heel counter area is an unfinished leather. So it does have, it reminds me of something that's just going to be very durable. It's soft, and it's going to be a lot stronger and have more wear time back there. If you use a shoehorn to put your shoes on, it'll last you a long time. But other than that, I was going to say the uppers, what do you think about your shoes too? I think, especially again at the $200 price range, these are very soft leathers. I haven't had a lot of creasing across the vamp area. Again, I've only had them for about 3 weeks, but I'm going to continue to wear these shoes. I love the look of them, and we will follow up on down the road on these shoes and how they've worn. But so far, so good. I think the uppers are very nice, soft leathers.
Mine, the very first time I wore them, very comfortable. The only part that was kind of wearing a little bit, and that's strictly because of it being a double monk, is you've got the tongue that hasn't broken in yet, but then you've also got the strap that's coming over. So it's almost like 2 layers thick right across, the bend of the foot right there at the ankle. But I just knew, hey, that's just kind of the style, unlike this where you got a split right here. But I thought the things were very comfortable, very comfortable.
So just a quick rundown of pros and cons. Pros for me, of course, the price point. I can't tell you again. I know a lot of you guys out there in YouTube world, we all talk about the direct-to-consumer brands. We're all very knowledgeable about brands outside of retail, but you have to understand, we work in a shoe repair shop, and we get customers all day long that come into our stores that don't know anything about the direct-to-consumer brands out there. They are still shopping retail, getting those big box store shoe brands, and they don't know anything about this. So again, for the price point of what a lot of those guys are paying for big box store brands that I could rip apart in the quality arena, this is a great shoe for the price. Mm-hmm. There's some other shoe brands out there that are also around that $200 price point that are great as well. So there's some competition. But would I buy Beckett Simonons? Absolutely. Some more pros for me. Again, as we mentioned, the build quality is good. The repairability factor, I'm going to repair these, put some new soles on and whatnot. But like I said, the welts are on there good. The heel blocks, I can reuse those. So I think the build quality for this being a $200 shoe is also very good. The cons, other than a few of the things that we mentioned, which were very few, the only big con that I would say is that it is a Blake Stitch shoe. Now, nothing against...
Say that loosely.
Yes, I put quotes around that because there are a lot of great Blake Stitch shoes out there, so it's nothing against that. What it is when I say it's a con for Blake Stitch is, like Heath mentioned, after a while, you can only resole a Blake Stitch shoe so many times before you can no longer use that needle and put on another sole. Again, a Blake Stitch shoe, that needle's going through the sole into the footbed, and it's punching holes every time. So when you do that over and over, yeah, you can try to reuse those same holes, but it's very hard to do on a Blake Stitch shoe, and eventually it turns into Swiss cheese, and you have to throw the shoe away.
And if you're taking care of it and you're rotating your shoes, they're going to last you for years. So don't worry.
So
about it.
I mean, unless, like you said, unless you're wearing these shoes every day, a Blake Stitch shoe is going to last you a long time. But other than that, I mean, that's really the only con that we saw on this, $200 Beckett Simonon. For you guys out there that, want to keep it around that price range, we would definitely recommend this brand. And
I would like to see leather, just because I love leather.
Yeah.
I would love to see a leather insole, but for the price point and kind of where the industry is right now, but it's hidden on the inside. The footbed, the Texan is pretty standard, but I would like to see leather.
Yeah.
But the price is going to go up though.
Yeah.
One more con that I just thought of was strictly the wait time. If you do want to get a pair of Beckett Simonon, these are made in small batches. So if you order in August, as of right now, it's around November before you're actually going to get it. But that is their way of keeping the price down by doing that in small batches and not having excess inventory.
Yeah.
So, but if you're in a crunch, that is a con. If you're a patient person, not a problem at all.
Yeah, if you're a patient, want to wait, for that time frame, again, like Heath said, that is their way of keeping the price point down on these shoes, which would probably be a lot more in retail world. They make them in small batches, so like he said, you do have a wait time. But yeah, that's I would say as a con, but it can also be a pro in the price point. Other than that, guys, that is our review of Beckett Simonon. We hope that helped, and we hope that brought you a little more insight into the shoe and the brand. We are going to put a link to Beckett Simonon in the description below, so if you guys want to check them out, definitely click on that link. If you have any more questions or comments, definitely leave those in the comment section below. We're always looking forward to getting back to each of you, and we will try to answer as many questions about these as we can. So until then, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.